Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, GM Potter here. Welcome to my channel where I talk about books and bookish things. I upload on Thursdays and Tuesdays, and today I thought we would go over one of my favorite authors' back catalog books, and that is Sylvia Moreno-Garcia's Gods of Jade and Shadow. Coming in quick with the book blurb, we have the Mayan god of death sends a young woman on a harrowing, life-changing journey in this one-of-a-kind fairy tale inspired by Mexican folklore. The jazz age is in full swing, but Cassiopeia Tun is busy cleaning floors of her wealthy grandfather's house to listen to any fast tunes. Nevertheless, she dreams of a life far from her dusty small town in southern Mexico, a life she can call her own. Yet this new life seems as distant as the stars until the day she finds a curious wooden box in her grandfather's room. She opens it and accidentally frees the spirit of the Mayan god of death, who requests her help in recovering his throne from the treacherous brother. Failure will mean Cassiopeia's demise, but success could make her dreams come true. In the company of the strangely alluring god, armed with her wits, Cassiopeia begins an adventure that will take her on a cross-country odyssey from the jungles of the Yucatan to the bright lights of Mexico City and deep into the darkness of the Mayan underworld. Oh my goodness, this book. So, this book, I got a secondhand copy of it because I couldn't find a fresh run copy of it. And apparently it was a Book of the Month Club pick in 2019. This one has no spice, but a lot of yearning. There is kind of a love scene, but it's closed door, so we don't get to see any of it, which I appreciate the restraint every now and again. Like, I like a good spicy scene. Over on my Patreon, I review books with lots of spice. You could call them smut, you could call them erotica, whatever. But I like it when an author shows restraint, when the love scene isn't necessary to the story, when it doesn't pull the story along, when they show that restraint. And that's one of the things I like about Sylvia Moreno-Garcia. She does have restraint. Like, yes, there's a romance aspect to a lot of her books. In fact, I would say most of the ones I've read, and I've read several of hers, there is a romance aspect, but it's closed door for the most part. And when it is open door, it's not lurid, it's not detailed in ways that could cheapen it. This book starts out with a quote from the Popol Vuh, which is, "But what the lords wished was that they should not discover their names," which I thought was a very interesting quote to start the book off with. So we are in 1927 Mexico, Ucumil, which is a desolate village in the Yucatan. This book is kind of Pandora's box meets the Mayan gods, if that makes sense. It reminded me a lot of the story of Pandora, that, hey, she doesn't discover the box. She's known it's there for a long time. Like, she's aware of the box. She knows it's there. She's not allowed to open the box. Her grandfather tells her it's full of gold, and she learns that she's been written out of the will, and she's punished for her insolence, which isn't really insolence, it's just her having a backbone. But she's punished and made to stay home while everybody else goes to the beach and has a nice relaxing day. So she goes in and she's like, I'm going to steal the gold and I'm going to run away. And I'm like, good for her. But what happens is she unlocks the box and all she finds in there is bones, just white, dried out bones. And she reaches in, she's like, maybe there's a false bottom. She gets a little bitty bone spur in her finger, and with the blood that she bleeds, she brings the Mayan god back to life in all of his resplendency. This god is Uncame. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not sure. I know some Spanish, but I don't know Mayan Spanish, if that makes sense. He's one of the gods of the underworld. He's one of a pair of twins. The other one is Vucugame. He's Lord of Xibalba. He starts out very aloof, but as the story goes on, he gets more human and he gets kinder, and he goes from being cruel and capricious like a god to being a rather sweet man. And this is because he is taking Cassiopeia's life force from her, from that little bone spur in her finger that is placed there. She can't remove it. Only he can once he has all of his artifacts back. He's missing a finger, an eye, a necklace, and an ear, I think. It's 4 things. It's finger, a necklace, an eye, and I want to say an ear. And so they've got to go on this journey, on this quest to find all of his parts that his brother took from him. Because he knew by tricking him into the box that just a little bit of blood could bring him back. So he's got to remove sections of him and scatter them. And he sets these traps. And it's very interesting because I don't know about y'all, but in the pop culture that I'm privy to, I don't get a lot of Mayan folklore and myth. I wish I did. I wish I had more of it because it's utterly fantastic and amazing and amazing. I went through a little bit of a Mayan mythos phase, like a very small phase, because I couldn't get my hands on much of it when I was a kid, when the movie The Road to El Dorado came out. And that movie, like, it was so cool because they're in Mexico and they're in the Yucatan and they're in all these places that I didn't get to go, but like my classmates went because I grew up down on the Mexican border. And so it was really cool that they're in these places in this book and also in Road to El Dorado, that they're in these places that I've heard of. And this book made me get out the Google Maps on my phone because I'm like, okay, we're in the Yucatan, we're here. And we're going to go up and around to over here, and then we're going to go over here. And I love geography. I love it when a book has real places that I can look up and real places that I can sink my teeth into. And this book did. And I love it when I can pull out Google Maps or an atlas or whatever. And like I'm going off the rails here a little bit. But as a kid, my parents got the National Geographic magazine. And with each issue, you got a map. And I loved those. I looked at them and looked at them and looked at them. And I finally begged my parents enough to let me have them. And I pinned them up in my room. In middle school and high school, I had these maps. I had one of Great Britain and Ireland that when I went to my Anglophile phase, I had maps of Europe. I had maps of like all over. When I first moved up to Dallas for school, I papered the wall of my dorm room essentially in maps. Like I just had maps everywhere. I'm like, this is so cool. Like I thought it would be fun to put a map up of the United States in our common area with my 3 other roommates. And I put a pin and I'm like, I'm from here, and like I put pins where they were from, and like they didn't think it was cool. And I'm like, I had it like lined out, like I've been to this state and I've been to this state and I've been to this state and I've been down here, and this is as far as I've gotten in Mexico, and this is as far as I've gotten in Canada. And like I love maps. I love traveling. I love geography. This book was kind of like a little bit of a travel book, a little bit in that way, that we get to go to these real places, and it was just fun. I have in my notes here, I'd forgotten how much I liked Sylvia Moreno-Garcia's writing. I needed this. A female main character with agency. There's a lot of discourse surrounding strong female characters and what makes a strong female character, and what makes a character an actual strong female character, and what makes her a Mary Sue. And Cassiopeia and all of the characters in her books are strong female characters. Like I love that she writes about strong female characters, usually ones that come from nothing or in some way underestimated. And they find this inner strength and this poise. They try to do right and they do wrong, and all of these things they get to do because they have agency, that they are in control of their thoughts and their actions. And like, it's just, I love her writing. I love that she gives such wonderful characterization to female characters. That so many times you read a female character and it's like, yeah, she's a step up from a Mary Sue. Good job. But that's all she is. She's like a singular step up. She's not someone that you would want to know. She's not someone that you would actually meet in real life. She's not flesh and bone. And I feel like Ms. Moreno-Garcia's characters could be flesh and bone. That they're just so utterly fantastic and so brilliantly written that they could be real people. They're not. Like, all of her books have the disclaimer, blah, 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 that they all have on the cover a novel. Like, it's not a real person. It's someone that she made up. But oh, her mind is so brilliant. And I'm working my way through her backlog, and it's like, oh, Gods of Jade and Shadow was, I have in my notes, gripping, engrossing, and enchanting. It does have a happy ending, but not a happily ever after, because this book is not a love story. It has romantic elements, but it's not a romance novel. It is a journey, and I just have at the bottom the agency, because I love that. I can't talk about the ending because that would be spoilers, and I want everyone to read this book. But if you read this book, you'll know what I mean when I say the agency in terms of Cassiopeia and the ending, because it's like, I just love this book. This book is obviously 5 of 5 stars from me. It has a 3.88 on Goodreads, and I'm like, why? This book is so much better than that. I read through some of the negative reviews. And this one claims that it's not smutty enough, and this other review, I'm like glancing down the 1-star reviews because I'm like, and she's like, I had to soldier on. It was really hard. How do I phrase this? There should be legal consequences for authors who claim their books are adult just to get around publishing and attract a larger audience. Like, she's claiming that this is actually a YA novel, and I'm like, no, just because it doesn't have smut doesn't mean it's for children. This book is not for children. Like, it has things in it that make it adult. For instance, it's about adults. It's not about children. It's not about young adults. It's about full-grown adults. So already we've lost a tick to the YA-ness of it, because the characters are too old for the age group. There's a certain amount of yearning and proximity that happens in the book, and that's another tick against YA. There's all of the blood and gore that happens in this book, which is another tick against YA. Like, this is not a children's book. This is not a YA book. And like, that's one thing that I kept seeing, that this isn't an adult's book. This could be a children's book. I'm like, what are your children reading? Like, what is, like, I don't know. I don't understand how anyone could read this and not absolutely adore it. But then again, I am a super fan of this author. So, 5 of 5 stars. Gods of Jade and Shadow. Should you read it? Wholeheartedly, yes. Have you read this book? Did you fall in love with it? Are you maybe not a fan of Sylvia Moreno-Garcia? I'd love to hear some discourse from people who maybe didn't like the book, because I don't know. I was enchanted and enthralled by this book, as I have been by her other books. Like, the only one that wasn't hit it out of the park for me was Velvet Was the Night. And that one, I think I put as 4 stars instead of 5 stars. Like, this book is as close to perfect as you can get in a book. Like, it was just so good. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read this, or if you plan to read it, or if you read it and didn't like it. I'd love to know what you think. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.